So let me ask you first about just your marketing overall for your studio, and then we could look a little bit at Kids
Sure.
Rock. But can you just kind of summarize for me what marketing strategies are you currently using and what's really working for your studio?
I mean, I would still say that the biggest impactor for us is just a quality website and good organic search. That's a big, inflow for us. And then we're supplementing that by doing Yelp ads. So we do a $500. We basically spend about $500 with Yelp each month. And then only recently, now in the past, when I first started doing Kids Rock, we were doing a lot of boosted posts in Facebook. So, as we were getting classes going, we'd spend $100 or $200, previous to launching a class. Facebook seems to have made a big change in the boosted post type of thing, where you just not seem to get the reach. For a while there, it was just crushing it. $100 would get you a really nice, you'd get a nice response. You'd get calls. You'd get people signing up the forum, lots of comments, interaction going on under the post. And now it's not performing like that. So recently then I hired, kind of a consultant guy to do the Facebook ads for me. So we're starting to move into, a more professional approach to Facebook ads. So we have the pixel installed on the website. So we're collecting data, so we can retarget people through the Facebook feed of people who visited the website, things like that. And, we're starting to see some impact from the Facebook ads. So those are the primary things, and I would just say word of mouth from a referral standpoint is huge. And definitely for Kids Rock, the referral thing has actually, I think, been what's been one of the bigger things recently.
I want to talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about this consultant that you've hired. Do you mind me asking how much you're paying a month for the consultant?
Yeah, I mean, he just charges me on an hourly basis. He actually teaches here. He's a drum instructor, but he just does a little bit of drum teaching. His primary job is he works for Volcom, the skate company, which is located 2 blocks from us. So we're kind of right in this little area over here in Costa Mesa that's really kind of a cool historic thing in the sense that, the Hurley Skate and Surf Company is down the street, and so is Volcom, which, are huge global surf brands. And so around them, then there's all these cool independent surfboard manufacturers and skate companies and all that stuff. So it's kind of an interesting area we're at in here. But so he works kind of, yeah. It's one of the cool things about being located out here, is that kind of thing. And I have families who work for, I think I have 3 or 4 different families that work at Volcom that come to the school. So that's what he does, marketing and whatnot and Facebook stuff at, for Volcom, for a large firm. So I just pay him $65 an hour, and it doesn't take him, I mean, he's, it's a couple hours a month that he puts into it, really, just to get our thing going, because it's not, we're not putting a huge budget in or anything.
Right. So it sounds like, maybe he's pricing, offering you a discounted rate. So it sounds like somebody could maybe between $200 to $500 a month have a consultant to help with this. I have thought I'm actually looking into hiring someone to do this because I've been doing it all on my own. I've learned a lot. It's been great, but I really question whether I'm maximizing my time correctly, or if I'm utilizing my time correctly by doing so much marketing. Well, I think
the thing is that what I run into with it is the Facebook ad thing was pretty straightforward in the early days. It's super complicated now. and it's great because the targeting is so good, and there's all these cool things you can do with it. But you kind of got to really know what you're doing now. You know,
right. So maybe for someone who's new to this, starting off with that consultant, and maybe you could find a consultant who can kind of set your campaigns up, set up your audiences, and then set you up so you can run with it.
Yeah, that's really all he did. It's not, he's not really, I used information that you had given me to kind of help with the audience. He just wrote the ad for me, kind of utilized some best practices, asked me for certain type of images, and then he just kind of set it all up so that it would perform the best. And then he just utilized some really good tracking information, and then utilizing those pixels so that we could, you place a pixel code on your website. He just kind of really helped me with just really with some more technical elements of it. I certainly helped out with, what we wanted it to say, and, how we wanted, and then we drove it to a specific landing page, a lead capture page and whatnot. We'll see.
What about ads?
We're scratching the surface.
Are you doing Facebook ads, or are you just doing boosting your post?
No, now it's only ads.
Okay, good. And I'm the same way. I only do ads. Every once in a while, I'll do a post, and if I see that it's getting some organic traction, I'll put maybe $5 or $10 behind it.
Right. I'll do that too with like a cool video or something we made of somebody or something like that.
And there's something else you said earlier about how when you first started doing posts, you were getting a lot of comments about Kids Rock, and a lot of that's been my experience is that you do the post and you're pushing it out to your audience. They're only gonna like the novelty of the newness is only there for a moment. So I have found by, like, for example, I just posted a picture of my spring break Kids Rockers posing in a cute pose. That got a lot of traction, a lot of organic movement. I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't saying sign up. It was just look at these cute kids and Kids Rock. And then I went back into the post and I changed the message a little bit to make it a little more salesy, and then I gave it a little $10 push. And that got it going.
It's an interesting thing because, I've followed social media from the early days, and I follow some of the big names in social media marketing, like Gary Vaynerchuk. I've read multiple books of his.
He's great.
It's one of those things where I've never necessarily found it to be all that beneficial for my business. You know what I mean? Like, I never really was getting, like, very many, there was, for a long time I couldn't say I got a single sign up ever through Facebook. So I started to get it when we started to do Kids Rock, because you helped with the targeting, I was able to get traction with Kids Rock, but I wasn't really able still ever to get anything for any of my other just general classes through Facebook. And, it's definitely something that I've always kept my eye on and I kept learning about, but I never went full on into it because I still wasn't 100% sure that I could make it work for what we do. I'm starting to transition the money now into Facebook, based a lot on what, on Gary Vaynerchuk's viewpoints on Facebook as being the best deal in where everyone's attention is. And Facebook got so good at the ads in the last year, in the ability to do the ad and target it way better than anything else out there, that I think now you have to just figure out how to make it work for your business.
Right.
So
I agree.
I'm starting to transition into how do I make Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that actually turn into sales for the school. And, if anyone hasn't listened to Gary Vee or read his book, the best book you could read on social media from him is the Jab, 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 Right Hook, which is, you know, basically you're kind of saying, like with social media, a lot of people just, they do an ad and pay for it, and that's all they put out there, you know, and that's a right hook. You're throwing the knockout punch to try to close the deal. But really, you're supposed to throw a bunch of jabs first, right?
You know, right, and I think
the jab is the picture of the kids in Kids Rock with no sales image, no sales copy attached, just a nice, like, hey, check out how cool these kids are. And then another one is, you know, you do multiples of those before you do an ad saying, hey, if you'd like your kid to be in a rock band, you know, go here. And, you know, I think it's important for everyone to remember that stuff.
Well, and also what you're saying, you know, you think about yourself when you're on Facebook or Twitter. You're not walking down, you know, the corridor of the mall looking for an outfit. You're going for information and entertainment. And if somebody says sales pitch, I tend to have a negative reaction right away. A sales pitch? Well, no. I'm not looking to buy. I'm looking to be entertained.
Right.
I'm looking for intriguing content. So if you go and you put up a picture of some cute kids, you know, in their kids rock band, and you also make a comment that's going to bring a smile to people's face. Now their perception of you is positive, and Music Factory. Okay, I haven't heard of those guys. That's, you know, you're not making a pitch, but you're building, you're establishing yourself ultimately as someone who's a reliable resource. I've been doing a lot of posts on Facebook about the benefits of music education, the emotional well-being music has, and emotional impact music has on a child. The hidden message there is, and your kid's going to experience this at my music studio.
Right.
But I'm not. There is no
challenge. Right. The challenge, and so I'm still trying to really figure a lot of this stuff out, how I want to do it when it comes to, really making social media become the driving force for how we're getting students, because there's a movement away from, like, Facebook is potentially going to be the new search engine. You know, people are moving away from Google and finding stuff on Facebook now. Whereas, you know, even a year or two ago, you were doing, I mean, Google's still huge and still the king, but it's starting to transition a little bit into search on Facebook, you know? So here's the challenge that I think with Facebook is, because I do the same thing that you're doing, where I'm just posting interesting stuff. You know, the kids when they pass a test, you know, I'm putting those kind of pictures up.
I saw those.
Fun,
yeah.
You know, fun, good stuff. The problem is, we both know that just from an organic reach standpoint, it's minimal.
Right.
You know, like
Facebook
hardly
limits
anybody
it.
is. Right. So I'm almost putting those things up there so that when a Facebook ad or something drives them to the Facebook page, the content is good on the Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of a weird thing, because you're going to do a Facebook ad, but your Facebook ad is primarily going to drive people, you know, to your website, to a landing page. But putting a ton of effort into, you know, your news feed, very few people are seeing it. So it's still kind of a double-edged sword in that respect. Instagram, I like better from the organic standpoint. You know, it's easier to just get much more eyes on an Instagram post.
Right.
But Instagram doesn't, you know, you definitely don't drive as many people to, you know, they won't click through the website quite so easy. So it's still a challenge.
You know, and I want to say to anyone who's listening to this, if you're scratching your head going, I don't know what these guys are talking about, like, I don't either. I mean, I know Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like, I don't really use, and I know I should, and they're on my, you know, checklist, and I want to encourage everybody don't be overwhelmed by all these tools. Pick one tool and just focus on it. Get good at it, and then expand. Facebook for me, that's just kind of where I started out. I was very overwhelmed by Ads Manager. There are all these bells and whistles, and I've realized that if you can understand how to build an audience, and if you can understand how to use the pixel, that's huge. I originally thought, that's way too sophisticated in advance for me. It really isn't. I invested 45 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, watching a video about it, and then I got it, and then I threw the pixel all over my website, so it was great. I want to ask you, okay, so we kind of talked about some broad... go ahead.
Before we move on to that, I wanted to hit a couple things. One is, I find freelancers on a website called Upwork. And that's like I have a freelancer who does all my website. Anytime I'm making a change to the website, I just go to Upwork. I have a person that I have an ongoing relationship with. I just send them an email. Here's what I want. They email me back any questions or whatever. They just email me back.
Found a
I found my current website person who just makes all the changes that I need to the website. I found on Upwork. And it just hits my account that I have on there for an hourly billing. And you can find
how much is that hourly billing?
It's just you choose. You pick the contract.
They give you a quote. Wow, brilliant.
Yeah, they just go. I do it at 20. I do it for $25 an hour, and then it takes you a little bit of time to find a good one. But once you find a good one and you have that relationship with, I just send her a quick email, boom, and it's done within a day or two, and and it's like, $40 hit on my account, and we've gotten to that point. We're just doing it it's just easier to do that than to do it myself. So what I would tell everybody is to just find a Facebook ads person on Upwork and just pay him to do it, as opposed to spending hours and hours and hours figuring it out.
Right.
And not getting it done very well. This for the small business world, this is the challenge. So the other thing I wanted to touch on is just people's general website. When you'll ask, sometimes a person will call me who is going to sign up for Kids Rock, not a customer, but maybe another school, or the Teacher Zone guys will have a potential customer call me, and I'll check, talk to them. I always look at everybody's websites afterwards to just see what they're all about. Mm-hmm. And 99% of everybody's websites are really terrible. And
I think that's a real problem in our industry.
Yeah, and if you are, spending money on other things, especially driving any traffic to your website, you got to make sure that once you spent that money to get them there, that the website is decent.
Right. And I think it's so easy to neglect the website.
Oh, God, and I just look at them and they're so bad. And it wouldn't take very much to just make the basics work. And everybody makes all the same mistakes. I've made them all too, and it's and it's another one of those things that you just try to do yourself. And it's listen, find some other company's website that really looks good, that has all the right things in mind. It's very easy to just read a few books, or read a few articles that'll tell you, here's what you need to have on your website. Here's what you shouldn't do. Lay it out, something like this. Just go for those basics and then hire somebody to just get it done for you. Because spending $200 on a Facebook ad and driving people there and then having them not know what to do when they get to the website and not having I talk to people whose primary thing is teaching kids music lessons to kids, and then you go to the website and the first picture, the only picture on there, has nothing to do with what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not even just a simple button that says get started. learn more,
right.
anything. Like
Right.
you're just blowing it. And
well, and I'm looking at your website. Okay, go ahead.
And it's one of those things too where I've talked to these people, to other schools quite often, and who will tell me like, man, your website looks great. And I've offered people, I've said like, I'll give you a full little rundown of what you should do to your website for a super cheap like consultation fee, like next to nothing, and people don't do it. It's like they're afraid in our industry to spend a little money on the stuff that actually is going to make a difference. But they'll do like a $500 mailer ad or something. That's just not going to do anything.
I'm looking at your website. It's themusicfactoryoc.com. For anyone who's listening, I encourage you to take a look at it. Right when I land on it, you have this nice tagline: "Do something you love, we'll teach you how." You got this "Learn More" button that you're talking about, but lots of, it's a simple, clean navigation, but I see lots of pictures of happy kids doing music, and those pictures are huge. One thing that I encourage Kids Rock licensees to do is the more accessible Kids Rock is on your home page, the better you're going to be. Nobody is looking for a rock band for 4 to 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm looking at, on your page here, under music lessons, it says kids 4 to 7. I haven't clicked on it yet, but I think that's going to take me to Kids Rock. If I have a child in that age group range, one of the questions I might be asking is my kid too young to go to the Music Factory? Well, you haven't said the word Kids Rock yet, but you're saying, hey, Mom, with the 4 to 7-year-old, come here. But then down at the bottom of your home page, you got this nice Kids Rock photo, and the name of the program. A lot of licensees are it requires 2, maybe 3 clicks to even find anything about Kids Rock. The ones who have that Kids Rock info on that front page and present it in a way that's talking about the kid and not the program, because Kids Rock doesn't mean anything to anyone up front. It only means
Yeah, it's a
only means something once they're in it.
Yeah. Right.
But let's. I want to talk about your story with Kids Rock because it's a unique story. And tell me if I have this right. Sounds like you kind of started off with a bang, nice enrollment numbers, and then you became a little concerned about your retention rates. The head count in the program started to drop, but then something happened, and you brought your numbers back up. And like you said when we started the call, you got them way up. You're now up at 30. Can you just kind of walk me through what happened when you first launched, what went wrong, or what stopped working, and then what did you do to fix it?
So when we first started, I think it was spring when we got started, and so the plan was really to do the summer camps. Mm-hmm. So out of the gate, we started with summer camps that very first year. So, signed up with you, and then, it was probably like 2 months or so later, 3 months or so later, that summer rolled in. And we had a pretty good initial, summer camp rollout. We had not a ton of camps, but we had 4 or 5 weeks worth and had some, decent attendance and, enough where it was like, okay, that was pretty cool. And, we pretty much made our money back already, on the investment. And then from there, we started doing the after school type of programs. And we built up, to where we had a good 5 or 6 day, we had probably 6 classes scheduled, and we had people in all of them. So we were cruising around with a pretty good, 20 people or so.
That's great.
Where we experienced the drop-off was summer, So last year going into summer, we had a pretty good roster of kids, and then summer hit, and we had a good drop-off, which, is pretty common. we had a big drop-off the last year with our regular student base, too, probably the biggest one I've ever had. So it took me, we had to scale it back to just a couple days of classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a slow build trying to bring it back. And we were getting people in the classes, but we were not retaining them. So I was having a hard time, growing it. We had maybe just 2 classes going. So I really just kind of dug back in, and I think the big mistake that I made was assuming that the teachers were following the program really well because they had gone through the training once,
Right.
And it's amazing. I guess it shouldn't be shocking at how easily they just fall into, because we're paying them, we're paying the teachers heftily. It's a really good hourly rate. And, but they just fall into just kind of doing what they've done in the past. Almost started teaching the class like they were just teaching other bands. And so I really had to dig back in and, retrain people. Pull one teacher out who's a great teacher but just isn't great for that kind of class. So made everybody kind of go back through everything. I would say now one of the biggest impactors, so this is what I would tell everybody to do, and I wish I would have done this from the get-go, is that Corey, my partner, and I, we actually are teaching 2 classes ourselves. And that's the best way to just get great at it.
Right.
Because we just follow the script and everything word for word. And we just do everything exactly. We make sure everything's set up exactly the way it's in the books. We follow the program. We follow the class, just word for word. And it's so funny because, when we sit in on another teacher's class, it seems like the kids are a little rowdy and he's having the teacher's having a hard time just really keeping it in order. And then we do a class with the same kind of kids and they're just awesome, and I'm like, well, it's just clearly the teacher.
Right.
So teaching the classes ourselves is making a huge, huge difference. And what I like about doing that also is that I think it kind of sparks my creativity as well to come up, because now in the class I'm coming up with ideas and ways to maybe add to the class a little bit, to add a little more value. Just silly things, and it gives me ideas for how to do the concert. So I have some really cool ideas for the next concert to kind of put it over the top, and just make that experience something that the kids are like, no, I definitely want to keep going to the class.
Right. Well, that's great. That's you really were willing to make that commitment by getting in there and teach. I had sent out a few months ago the sort of instructor evaluation and instructor quiz forms. Did you look at those at all or implement them?
Yeah, I've been having them do the quizzes.
And was that helpful? Was it helpful for them or helpful for you?
I think it was helpful for them. I mean, in the sense that I know they had to do some review and revisit everything. I know they couldn't pass that quiz without reviewing the book. So that tells me that they were just moving past things. It's an interesting thing because, I'll go sit in on the class, and I don't. In a lot of cases, the teacher isn't purposefully ignoring the program or the curriculum. They think they're doing it right, and it's just little just the slightest of detail, like how they're starting the song with the students.
Right.
And I'll go in and sit in, and they're just not doing it the way that it's laid out in the book. And it's I think they just go, it's close enough. I think that's how they approach it.
Well, and I think also the training is a wave of information and then you get in there and you teach it. Not that this would necessarily be the best approach, but I almost would like people to go and teach it first without knowing anything, and then say, now do the training. But I do encourage people to go back to it maybe after 2 or 3 classes. So it sounds like for you, putting the teaching under a microscope and making sure that was being implemented correctly really helps with student retention.
Yeah, it's a big one. And then just, sitting in on the classes with the teacher who's doing it and helping them out here and there, just checking up, make sure they're doing stuff correctly. Making each class a fun, interesting, event for the kids. I'm taking a lot of pictures in the classes.
Okay.
Like at the end of the classes that Corey and I teach, almost every time at the end of class, we're having them stand around the drum kit and do a band photo shoot.
And they love that.
Where it's okay, let me see your tough guy faces, and stuff like that. And then, especially with the real young kids. I mean, I feel like you can only really play the songs with them for, and if you follow the book, you really only are teaching the songs for a few minutes.
Right, 5 to 8 minutes.
That's about the extent before they're like, all right, I want to do something else,
Right, right.
So it's okay, and so when I follow the program, the time runs out really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, so there's days where I'm like, darn it, we didn't even get to sing today. That went by me way too fast, and it's really if you do, your opening stuff around the drum and everything properly, it's the time moves pretty quick. And if you want to do a little end of class recap with the parents, that's a few minutes. It goes by pretty fast.
What I haven't done, which I think would be a good idea, is, maybe once in the course of the 8 or 9 weeks, or maybe a couple times, have the band pose for a band photo. But you don't take the pictures; the parents do of their kids.
Yeah,
they will jump on it because, like I know, I'm sure this happens too. When the parents come in at the end, they're usually making videos of their kids playing. And they're all doing it. What if you do okay, let's grab a couple guitars, let's stand around the drum. Here, let's take the keyboard and tilt it on its side. Okay, parents, let's take a picture of the band. Those will all wind up on Facebook, all of them. And,
right, exactly.
I just saw a mom who changed her Facebook profile picture to her daughter playing in a kids rock concert.
That's cool.
And if you're really smart about it, hanging behind that drum set is your music studio's banner, so everybody sees. Oh, that's where they're doing it. Yeah. So using knowing how to do that is great.
Yeah, and and I would say the teachers now are getting better too. They'll have stickers and stuff like that in class to give out for little awards, and we're just doing more and more. And I notice the kids are coming in. They're dressing sometimes for class.
Yeah.
To be in the band.
They got
and we're going to start
on.
Right. Different things like that, and then. For the concert, we have one coming up in May. I'm making walk-on music for each band, just like you see at big concerts.
Right.
So we're going to use the Chicago Bulls, walk-out music. So I'm going to pull that into iTunes. Into GarageBand, and I'm going to do announcer guy voice over it, where I say the kids' names, but it's their rock and roll names that we've come up with.
Yes.
You know, and introduce these kids as the band as they come up. And we've got a fog machine and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to make it so they just are this is the funnest thing ever. And then each band, based on their band name, we're doing a real simple face paint design. Something that we can do real quick. So then all the kids, when they show up that day, if you're in the pink zucchini monkeys, you get, this is what's going to go on, this is what goes on your face. And then, we're just asking, I have one teacher who's good at that, and I'm asking a couple parents, to volunteer to help out. So everybody, just to make the event a bigger deal. Because, the thing is, they're only up there playing for a couple minutes,
Right.
So it's like I want to do stuff to just make it memorable. And this is really just kind of the same approach I'm trying to take to all the other recitals or band concerts and stuff that we do. It's just, we've talked about those kind of things. Like, you just got to make it something where it's just so far beyond just coming and doing a music lesson. It just has to be like they're just so into the whole long-term experience that they don't quit because of water polo season.
Right, and and they're not telling you, but there is a percentage of your Kids Rock customers and probably across your school that maybe decided, you know what, we're gonna drop out after the concert. They decided that they haven't necessarily said anything to you. The concert happens, and if you create this just amazing experience and moment for them, then everyone kind of rethinks that decision. I mean, I've had parents tell me prior to the concert, hey, we're going to take a break, after the December concert. I go, great. And then at the concert, the parents going, oh, my, how are we going to, we can't take a break from this. This is amazing.
Right.
So, those recitals, those concerts, those are all, every little touch you add to it, is going to build the emotional experience up to be even greater. I mean, I think the face painting idea is awesome. Is there anything you've changed in your marketing that you feel has helped?
Not really. I did do some Groupon thing, and so I probably have about 5 or 6 people total that are on a Groupon deal. And I've been thinking a lot about that. And the reason that I did that was because as I was trying to build it back up, I just wanted to get people in the classes. But one of the things I've noticed is even though you're taking a financial hit, I like the class to be filled, and it seems like the kids enjoy it more if there's always a good group there.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of like if you're rolling along,
like
you got
a
couple classes. Yeah, if you got a couple classes going and you got 3 in this one and 4 in that one, and maybe you got a class with only 2, if you do a Groupon thing to kind of just round out those classes a little bit, I mean, you're already teaching the class. You're already spending the money. So round it out and build it into a class. So now maybe you can expand upon that. That's kind of the way I'm looking at that. It's making, bringing those people into the fold. Some of them are going to finish their Groupon and not continue. I'm sure, they're Groupon people. That's how they are. Most of them will probably be like that. But some will continue, and some will go into private lessons eventually, and all those kind of things. So I'd rather just keep
the
those
advertising
filled.
You got from Groupon is great.
Right. I think there's an overall awareness that being on that, for your website and for your search and long term, that doing those Groupon things really does impact. So I mean, and that's something I can revisit again as we roll into summer, because I'm sure, I'm probably going to have some dropout in summer. I'm preparing mentally for it right now. So my 30, I might have to scale back a class here or there. I think
if you tried, in the manual it talks about turning it to like 4 or 5 week sessions instead of doing an 8 week.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like my after school, I don't really run it like an 8 week program though. I just have it. It's just not ongoing all the time.
Right. But you have the concert is sort of the
I'm trying to do I'm trying to do a concert every 2 months, roughly, to keep the momentum going.
So
I guess it's like a cycle, an 8 to 12 week cycle for sure.
So we do what you do. We the enrollment's ongoing. These are the concert dates. But then come summer, we say, okay, we're going to do. If you're going to sign up, you can sign up for 5 weeks, or you can sign up for all 10. There's not going to be a concert. and then instead we make a recording, which is really just an iPhone recording of the instructor playing and the kids singing, and they get that, and they think, they're rock stars because mom gets in the car and they hear themselves playing on mom's car stereo. We will drop to about 15 to 18 students in the summer. So we will lose a little more than half. And I just know that's the way it's going to be. But, hey, 15 to 18 kids for the summer is fine. We also do, Kids Rock Camp, which is, a big money maker. It sounds like you were successful with it. Well, I'll ask you one more thing. Is there anything that you've changed on, like when you get an inquiry that something, like if a mom calls with a 6-year-old, did you change your sales pitch over time?
Yeah, for sure. I think that just took time for, myself and the other people that answer the phone to kind of really get into that mindset of, listen, if this person is under 8 years old, no matter what the parent is telling us about how their kid is special and can really play at 4 years old and should be in private classes because they're going to be on The Voice by 5 years old, we talk them into, or at least try to get them to at least do a Kids Rock class first.
Right.
So anybody under those ages, I'm pushing everybody towards Kids Rock, and letting them know, like, yeah, maybe, if you're a 7-year-old, like, we'll know, do a month, we'll know if, like, maybe they are moving fast for the other kids and feel like they're held back a little bit. And then if that's the case, then let's do it. We'll jump you into regular lessons,
Well, that's great. And it's all about you making that commitment to do that.
Yeah, and I think just pitching those things that way, giving them those options, and just telling them, like, listen, hey, I know what you're saying. We've been doing this a long time, and most 6-year-olds are not going to stick with piano. Like, it's just not going to happen. I know what you're saying now, but 2 months from now, you're going to tell me that they don't want to practice, and you're going to quit. I'm telling them, like, listen, I would love to have you, but I would almost rather not take up my teacher's time slot for a student I know is only going to be here for a month or two. I'd way rather just give them, another student that I know is going to, an older student that's going to stick with it, So either buy Kids Rock, or you have to commit to me that when your kid says it, like, I'm just telling you right now, they're not going to practice, period. You got to handle it.
If you say to a parent,
don't do it.
If you say to them, we're the expert, we're the doctor here, I am telling you, this is what historically happens, they will listen to you. They still might push back. It also sets a tone of, wow, these guys really seem to know what they're talking about. Okay, we'll try it. And if you always lead with, obviously, if you say to them, oh, well, if you go into lessons, you're probably going to drop out in a couple months. We're not going to make any money. Of course, you're not going to say that. But if you say, hey, I'm interested in the well-being of your child, and I want your child to engage with music, this is the way to go. I mean, that's their language, because at the end of the day, that's all they want for their kids. Is for them to grow as individuals. Maybe I can only imagine in a place like Orange County, there might be some parents that think, my kid will be a star. They're on their way.
Right.
And I'm sure that happens in Boise, Idaho, too, where there's parents who
I'm sure, and there are those kids that come in and you're like, oh, wow, this kid's like, I signed up a kid yesterday for Kids Rock who came in and, like, it's like he barely got introduced to me, and he was, like, singing and dancing for me in the office, like 10 seconds into meeting him. And he was like, I like this song. And he was, like, just singing a cappella, like a pop song off the radio and doing, like, crazy dance moves. And I was like, oh, this kid's totally going to fit in, But most kids aren't like that, and they're shy and,
that
all
kid
those kind of things.
A kid who's accelerated like this boy, he still might find a lot of value in the group and performance experience Kids Rock has to offer. You put that kid in the private lessons, that's great, and they can grow and they can learn, but they're not really going to they're not going to go out performing with a rock band. yet.
Right.
So they're older. So yeah, I've had kids who are clearly more advanced musically than everyone else in the group. They wind up being the anchor of the group, but they're as happy as can be.
Right, exactly.
They're with their buddies, and they got a concert in a month at some big venue, and 300 people are going to be there, to cheer them on.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. But I think that's as far as any changes we made. I think those are key ones. I think, with anything, like, having confidence in it allows you just do so much better when you have confidence in your sales pitch, in closing the deal. So something like Kids Rock, when you first bring it in, that's why, like, if somebody is new to signing up to it, I would say you absolutely should teach some of the classes yourself, at least one class, so that you get good at it. Because now I feel like I know this thing inside and out. I know it's better than my teachers who are teaching it, for sure.
Right.
And so when I talk to a parent, I feel like I have this flow of confidence about how we're doing it, versus like when I wasn't that sure of my teacher doing it, I was almost like, you're kind of like, God, I hope it goes okay. Right. And
that's great advice. Just one class, just one.
Yeah, I think you got to do it. Take that hour a week. Wednesdays at 4:30, I'm doing the Kids Rock class. This is mine. And also then I'm super competitive with everything, so that I'm like, Corey, look how much better our kids are after 2 weeks versus all the other teachers.
Here's an idea.
So now I'm on like the thing where it's like, okay, at the concert we're just gonna crush the other bands.
Right. Here's an idea for a studio owner who's not teaching a class is pick one lesson plan, really get it down, tell your instructor, I'm going to teach your class today, and you're going to evaluate me, and turn it in. You're going to be pretty nervous as, it'll be a humbling experience, but what it's going to do is the instructor is going to look at you and say, oh, he's doing it all wrong. Because, the evaluation's asking these questions, and the questions on the evaluation are really questions that they should be asking about themselves. So hopefully it will be a learning experience, for the instructor and a learning experience, for the owner, because, they will then have a lot more confidence in their selling because they've taught it once before.
Right. The last thing I would say, the last thing I would say is I did hire somebody recently that when we went into the hiring process, we were specifically looking for somebody that we thought would be good at Kids Rock. So, I'm bringing this female teacher on board who's younger, but, has taught some young kids, like 4 and 5-year-olds before, but she's got her music degrees and she does piano and voice. So, she's going to be a regular instructor for us as well. But, I'm going to have her do all the training with you the normal way, and then she's going to be in on Corey and I's classes that we teach.
There you go.
So we'll bring her in and teach her how to do it that way by having her in the class with us so she can really see, like, how it flows and how we're doing it and how we manage the kids and, all those kind of things. And, I feel like long term, at least during, maybe not in the summer, but during the rest of the year, that this could be something that I could have 50 people in. I'm at where, if I just look at where it's at right now, I feel like if we get good at that retention, keep tweaking the marketing a little bit, just get better and better and better at that, I could have 50 people most of the time.
If you keep putting that energy you're putting into it, you'll get there easily. And that's where I'm at, 45 to 50. It's kind of, I think it fluctuates between those numbers. And let me tell you, it's great profit margins and a good thing to look at. It's an important thing to do. Even with the numbers you have now, is letting these parents know what the next step is for them. And it's the 6 and the 7-year-old, the 4 and the 5-year-olds. The next step is stay with the program, but those 6 and 7-year-olds, they need to see that next step, because if you don't show it to them, they'll leave and they'll find that next step elsewhere, possibly.
Yeah.
For
sure.
No, 50 is very doable, and you're doing great. I think there's a great story there about big numbers out of the gate, and then a bit of a decline. And then you just kind of put some energy behind your marketing, focused on the instructors. Retention got better because you want to keep that retention. It's so easy for us in general to be so focused on marketing. You're throwing coals on the fire, but we're burning through the coals too quickly. We can keep those kids in our studios longer. It's gonna be a lot easier on all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm on this treadmill at the school in general, in that I'm bringing in 20 or 25 students a month, and I'm not really growing much,
Right.
I mean, if you have 200, 250 students, like the natural attrition, even if you're doing everything right, you're going to lose 10 or 15 students a month. It's really hard not to.
Look, and a lot of the kids
schedules,
a lot of the kids go into our schools. The parents want them to be well balanced, but they want them to be exposed to different things. They're doing sports.
Yeah.
They're maybe doing theater. So they got a lot going on in their lives. And I have kids, especially in Kids Rock, who are seasonal. They come in the fall.
Yeah.
And then I don't see them again. And then they come again next fall. And that's just kind of how they have their lives structured. And we just have to be, prepared for that as business owners.
Right.
All right. Well,
that is true.
It was great
awesome.
talking to you. Lots of great information and insights, and I hope some of the other licensees can, have some nice takeaway info from this.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
All right. You have a good day.
Thanks. All right. See you, buddy. Bye.